How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today I'm going to show you how to debug a leaking toilet. Now this is one of the symptoms that you'll see. A little bit of water is leaking into the bowl, so you can see the water, it's rippling a little bit because some water is being dripped into the bowl. Now there are several reasons that this could happen. A lot of times this is so slow that you can't really tell. You might have to put a little bit of dye into the water tank and then see that the dye leaks into the water bowl. Let me take off the top over here. Now one of the primary things that can go wrong is that rubber flapper down there. It's deteriorated over time, and so you may need to replace that. If that is deteriorated, water is going to leak through that center flapper down there and into the toilet bowl. The second reason that that toilet bowl could leak is through here. If this little water release mechanism is broken, it's going to keep on filling up the water all the way up to the top and into this overflow hole over here. You see the water level should have been down here about 1 inch down. So what's wrong with this thing right now is that even though this floating thing has come up already, this valve is not turning off and water is still flowing out and filling this up and overflowing it. What could also happen with this thing is that maybe your floating device is configured improperly. It might just so happens that even though the water came up already, it's not pulling this hard enough in order to close this valve. So it does not necessarily mean that this valve is broken. Sometimes it means that you just need to adjust this floating device. So to test this out, I can release a little bit of water. This is the proper level right now. And if I kind of pull on this to try to close the valve, yeah, I think I'm really breaking it now. Okay, this thing really needs to be replaced. Now the valve is really broken. It's going really fast. So there you have it. 3 reasons for a leaking toilet bowl. 1, the rubber flat down there has deteriorated. 2nd, this valve is broken. Or 3rd, just this floating device is configured improperly. You can try to bend this rod so that this floating device is a little further down. So you just kind of hold this thing and bend it down a little bit, and it would cause the valve to close a little bit tighter. So I picked up a couple of these toilet fill valves. They seem to go bad pretty often, about once every 3 years or even less than that. So you need to keep on replacing them. If you call a plumber every single time to do this, you know, you're gonna pay a lot, and it's really not that hard to fix. It only takes maybe 5-10 minutes or something to replace this thing. So I got one of these new style ones where there's no floating device. The floating device is all internal to here. So there's some sort of leverage inside where there's still a tiny floating device, and then the leverage somehow inside here would close the valve rather than a physical handle thing with a big ball. So let me just turn off the water and then try to replace this valve. I have the valve down there. Let me turn it off. That. And now we want to completely empty out this tank so that if we open up this valve thing, all the water won't be flowing out of that hole down there. So let me just flush it. And I'll just hold this open until all the water flows out. So I have a bidet connected to this thing, and over here is an older style of the connector that goes into the wall. This thing is directly screwed in rather than the other kind where you have a valve and then you can screw any kind of new pipe into here. You see right at this joint, it's completely connected. So this whole thing from this all the way up to here is one piece. So if I want to fix this thing without trying to get a new piece of this, I just gotta open this up and hope I don't break anything down here. So let me open this. There's this nut over here. I just gotta open that up. Double check the threads over here. It means I need to go that way. I can use my hands now. Yep. And from the top, remove this thing. Even if you let some of the water drip out, there's still gonna be a little bit left. So you need a little container to catch all of it. I didn't have a big enough one. Now I have to clean up. So if you look at my flap over here, wow, it looks like, you know, in really, really bad shape. Don't fix what's not broken. I'll fix it when it's broken. You know, this thing is definitely really, really broken. So I'm gonna toss this away. I've looked at what's inside this valve over here already, and I try to fix it component wise, and I know this is beyond repair right now. There's also this little rubber piece. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think they call this vulcanizing or something. Any kind of rubber material, when you've used it long enough, it'll disintegrate. Just the way it is, it seems, with rubber materials. So I have this new one. Let me open it up. I have to adjust the height of this thing by turning this in or out. So I'm just making it the same length as this one. There's a little rubber grommet over here that was attached together. I cut it open. I think this is a limiter, so that, you know, you don't have about a ½ inch of water in diameter going into this thing. So you won't have water pressure going in so hard that it'll blow up this plastic fill valve thing. So this is just like a limiter thing. It looks like I can use this one to screw it back on, and we're ready to put this back in. You need this rubber thing to make as a watertight seal, so that's obvious to me. I need to add that little hose. So here's this little hose. This is basically after you flush it, this flap has closed. But we need to fill up the toilet bowl with a little bit more water so that it comes up to, you know, the proper level. So this is what this hose is for. When it's still filling up this water tank, it's filling up that water bowl as well. So then you have a little bit of water in there. So I'm just gonna plug this in here. If that channel wasn't there, I can just plug this in, but we don't need that right now. So we can just do this and just screw that in. You can actually just use your hands over here. Make sure that rubber grommet is seated properly. You know, you just wiggle it around as you're turning it. Make sure it's seated. That should be pretty good. You want to just hand tighten it, and then we'll go and tighten this in here. I'm gonna use that little rubber thing that came with this thing. Okay, now let's never used this thing before, so I'm gonna turn on the water now. Let me just test this before it fills up. Okay, it works. It seems like I can adjust the height of this thing with this screw. The height of this thing, when I adjusted it really earlier with a ½ inch plastic piece, it's really for the height of the toilet. You just want to make it as high as necessary, and then you can do the remaining adjustment with this little knob here. So my goal is to, I guess, have it at this fill line here. If you can't read that, it says water line. It should turn off now. Oh, it did. Wow. Okay. Guess that's it. It's done. Flush it. Now you see the flap is closed right now, right? But if you look at the toilet, water is still coming out. But the flap is closed, so where the water is coming from is from here. Look at this, right there. This water is spraying into this tube, and into that tube comes out over here. And this thing is gonna keep on filling until that water line, which is great. And let me see if I can make it. Yeah, see, look, if I just push this down a little bit, it's gonna fill it up. That means if I turn this enough this way, it might fill up more. The water line is a little high, so I can, that adjustment is serious here. Okay, now it's gonna go up a little bit more. It was right in the beginning. I just want to fiddle with this to see how it works. Oh, there we go. It's gonna fill up a little bit more. Put the lid back on, and we're all done. So thanks for watching how to fix this toilet. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe over here and click that bell icon to get notifications. Thanks for watching.